As far as black radio is concerned, there is no black radio.
Right.
Black radio could speak its mind. Black radio was the voice of the consciousness of the black community. Black radio is where we aired our own problems out and got our own versions of the story. Black radio, we didn't have handlers. Black radio, we could address or correct misinformation about our population, no matter how it was being misrepresented.
Right.
There is no more black radio. That's why I don't expect black radio, nor did I expect black radio to suddenly come to the mountain and say, oh, look what's going on. The 60s are repeating themselves again, blah, blah, blah. I gave up on that a long time ago.
Right.
But what you should pay attention to is this. When your opposition begins to pay more attention to the things that you should be, more so than you, and have a bigger reach and more influence, that should be a wake-up call to you.
Absolutely.
Not only that, Chuck, you're pretty cool guy, so, I don't mind talking to you every now and then. I talk to a lot of strange characters these days, so I'm very selective of who I talk to.
Man, I appreciate it, brother. I'm going to have to reach out to you on a humble just to say what's good. You know what I mean? Just not so serious all the time. You know what I'm saying? Just to shout you out, so to speak. But how are you, man? Like, just, as a person, man, as a human, are you... the things that you are accused of can weigh you down. It's a burden. I mean, I've had some things happen and it's a burden. Nothing of this magnitude, I have to say.
First of all, everything you go through in life is preparing you for something. Every up or down you've ever had, every heartbreak, every disappointment, every victory, everything that happens to you that takes you through something that leaves you shaped or changed or matured or grown in your life happens because it's preparing you for something that's coming later in your life. A lot of people have asked me that very same question. How you holding out? It's a lot going on. When I look back over my life, all of the things that I've done and all the places I've been, all of the situations that I've gotten into and gotten out of, 3 marriages that I've gotten into and gotten out of, living as a black man in America for almost six decades. All of these things have prepared me for what I'm going through right now. I'm fine.
Okay, good. What's the status of the NFAC?
What do you mean what the status is?
Has it changed at all?
Let's you and I have a straight up conversation, as they like to say in the hood. Let's keep it a buck.
Well,
keep it. The NFAC is fine. As a matter of fact, the NFAC is becoming somewhat of a problem globally for a few people. Most people in the United States are not aware that on the 26th of this past month, that there were demonstrations in Angola, in the UK, in France, the Netherlands, Haiti, the People's Republic of the Congo, on behalf of the NFAC and myself, for human rights violations, so these bogus charges and so forth. Most people in the United States are not aware of the global reach or the NFAC, yet every American embassy became aware of us on that day. So you can imagine the back conversations that came back to the United States State Department when they're wondering, who are these people showing up in black, talking about we've done something wrong, we have no idea. So I'm fine with regards to the NFAC. The NFAC is solid. What we are finding out, though, and I'll be honest, is that the NFAC apparently, for some strange reason, refuses to be placed into a box by people who don't know how to recognize when they're looking at something you've never seen before. It's not a gimmick. It's not a trick. And then you look back over history at all these notable people in history that came along that tried to effect some form of change. Somebody always had to say, it can't be, it's too good to be true. So it's got to be a setup. We've been victimized so much as a people that we don't even know when to trust the truth when it shows up, Chuck. So the NFAC is fine. Globally, we are a solid organization. Matter of fact, I'd like to send a big shout out to some of the newer chapters that have just stood up regionally in the Netherlands, in Switzerland, to the folks down in Namibia. I don't want to pronounce it wrong. Namibia. I have new chapters that are popping up all over the place. I want to send another big shout out to all of the folks down in Haiti, the folks down in Jamaica that I'm working with now. So we are an international footprint, and we are fine, irregardless of the chaos, the confusion, the apprehension, and the fear that continues to grip Black Americans in America.
Mm-hmm. What is it about the NFAC that I feel like there's a large part of the Black community that does not embrace it? I've seen people that I know, and I will admit I just can't fully understand. Do you have any insight on that? Are they scared of themselves? Are they scared of retribution? Fear has been always put into our communities.
Chuck, let's look at history. Ever since the end of slavery, the United States has worked diligently to keep weapons out of the hands of the people that they enslaved. Ever since the end of slavery with the Black codes and Jim Crow, having a weapon in the hands of a melanated person was always seen as a threat. The reason being is because a lot of people think that we want revenge, when the truth is all we've been asking for is equality.
Right.
After 246 years of slavery and now 150 some odd years of so-called being free, the only freedoms that we enjoy are the ones that they have allowed us to enjoy. Whereas what they call the great equalizer, that's what it was called. The great equalizer was the gun. And when the gun was given to the Portuguese and given to the Arabs by the white man, that's how they managed to invade Africa, because they had never seen anything like that superior weaponry. They were still spears and shields, but they were good with that. But they came with the gun, and there was no way that it put those people who were weaker on equal playing field with the warriors. So what has happened in America, this is translated over. There's a book here by Angela Davis called Policing the Black Man. There's another book here by Tom Burrell called Brainwash. I invite every person to read these books. Take time, read a little bit at a time, and look at how you have been socialized, how you've been conditioned, how you've been programmed. Now, if I say the word gun, you thought negative right away. You got to go back and try to find something positive, but you've been conditioned to think negative. Black people with guns must be all bad. And you know who they beat that into? You know who they generationally drilled that into? Black people. Why? Because they made you think so less of yourself that if you arm yourself, what are you arming yourself for? It can't be nothing good. You ain't got no land to protect. This is not your country, even though we tell it's yours. You didn't do any of the things that's going to make the laws change. Why do you have a gun? That's what you've been brainwashed to think, that we're always up to no good. As a matter of fact, you want to act like we're not born with the inherent right to defend ourselves to the best of our ability. And that's the last part. Equality means we're not just equal in the playing field. We have to be equal on the battlefield. Why do Black people fear seeing other Black people with weapons? Well, let's look at their past. Let's look at the life they've led. Let's look at the environment that they've come from. They didn't create the environment. They were born into the environment. So they witnessed things in that environment. And by witnessing things in that environment, they think that certain things just always go that way. Until you can see it done the way it's supposed to be done, you will always think. And I underline the word think, not know. There's a difference. You will always think that you know exactly what's right. That's why when people see people with guns, they think there must be something wrong. So they call the police, and then all hell breaks loose. And when we finally dig into the whole matter, we come to find out them people wasn't doing nothing wrong. That's something that you thought. And you thought wrong. And most Black people, it ain't all of them, but most, because I used to be one too, was socialized to think that a Black man and a gun, something gots to be wrong.
Yeah.
That's why. So here comes the second part. Most people have not let go of their fear. I can call it here on your show. And I know I scare people when I say this, but I'm touching you dead in your soul. You scared. You still scared. You scared of the master. That's why if something is going on that could help us and it looks too good, you think the master got to be behind it. It got to be a setup. Because, again, in this book, Brainwashed, they talk about how during slavery times, they conditioned us to think that all good and profitable and helpful things came from the master.
Right.
But everything that was detrimental, that was holding us back, that got us in this mess was our fault. So what did? We will attack each other before we will attack the person that's actually holding the reins that we think that controls us. That's why black on black. It's easy to attack your brother right next to you because he can't do nothing more to you than you can do to yourself.
Right.
But don't forget, the master, he wrote the laws. The master, he bring the food. The master, he owned the bank. The master has the great equalizer.
Right.
The master holds the keys to your life and your death. And even though we try to act like a lot of, I'm independent, I don't need nobody, I bust my guns, you can't tell me nothing. Let the master show up. And it's some of the hardest brothers that you cover in your publication. Hip hop artists and R&B artists and football players, everybody who rolling in the master's dough, thinking that they empowered until the master show up. Then all of a sudden y'all want to talk about it. Then all of a sudden it must, that's the fear.
Yeah.
And until we learn to overcome that fear as a people, not as a person, a lot of us are brave people.
Right. Right.
There's a brave person sitting over there. But put us together in a group, oh, you're going to see some fear kick up. And that leads me to what I know you was going to ask me next. Then why, if these people are so afraid, that group over there, and why, if they've been brainwashed, these people over here, and why, if they still afraid of the master, like them folks back there, and if some of them just Oreos and we don't know who they are, so they think that this is just the way it's always been, and we need to get along, then why are amongst all these people, are so many flocking to the NFAC now? Because they tired.
Yeah.
We all tired.
Yeah.
We so tired, we can't get no more tired. You ever been so tired you can't get no more? You just silly?
Yeah.
As a people.
Yeah. Yeah.
We ain't just sick and tired of being sick and tired. We tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.